Have you ever felt like you've wandered too far off the right path? Like the crushing weight of your past mistakes has permanently closed the door to your inner peace? Look around us. We live in a rel. Our broken promises, and our darkest moments much longer than it ever celebrates our victories. Many of us are walking through life wearing masks, terrified that if people knew what we've truly done. But over 2,000 years ago, on the dusty roads of Judea, Jesus sat down with a crowd of outcasts, sinners, and religious elite, and he told a story. It wasn't a lecture about strict religious rule, it was a narrative about a love so radical, so profoundly reckless, that it completely defies all human logic and cultural norms. A story about the deepest, most incomprehensible kind of grace ever. He spoke of a wealthy landowner, a father who had two sons. This father was a man of immense kindness, deeply respected in his community, and entirely devoted to his family. His hands were calloused. Prosperous estate. He planted vineyards, raised livestock, and provided a sanctuary of abundance so his boys would never know a day of hunger or lack. He gave them everything, his protection, his all. But one day, the younger son approached his father with a shocking, culturally devastating demand. In the ancient Middle East, this was the ultimate betrayal. "Father," he said, "give me my share of tea." Inheritance was only divided after a father's death. Essentially, this boy was looking his loving father directly in the eyes and saying, "I want your wealth, your money, and your benefits, but I know." Imagine the absolute, suffocating heartbreak of that father. The profound, paralyzing sting of rejection from his own flesh and blood. The whole village would have expected him to strike his son, to be painful display of love that respects human free will. The father did not argue. He swallowed his pride, endured the public humiliation of liquidating his assets, and quietly divided his life's work. Not long after gathering his newfound wealth, the younger son packed up everything he owned. He didn't just walk out the door, he turned his back entirely on his home, his older brother, and his faith. Foreign country, he was running as far away from the rules and the intimacy of his father's house as possible, blindly chasing the intoxicating, dangerous illusion of absolute, unrestricted freedom. There, in that dazzling foreign land, he threw himself into wild, reckless living. He squandered his hard-earned inheritance on fleeting, empty pleasures. He bought the attention of strangers through hell. Surrounded by the deafening noise of music, the flow of expensive wine, and the illusion of popularity, he silenced the gentle voice of his conscience. For a little while, standing in the center of that the world's glittering promises are so often hollow. The music stopped, the extravagant parties eventually ended. The fair-weather friends, the ones who only loved his money, disappeared like shadow. Every last gold coin was gone. The beau who thought he had bought the world suddenly found himself completely alone in it, abruptly stripped of his dignity, his pride, his false friendships, and his. To make matters worse, as if the universe itself was reflecting his internal emptiness, a severe and devastating famine struck that distant land. The bustling economy collapsed overnight. Food became. The arrogant young man who once had the entire world at his fingertips, who threw gold away on a whim, now began to experience a desperate, life-threatening need. Survival replaced freedom as his own. Left with absolutely no other choice, his pride utterly broken, he hired himself out to a wealthy citizen of that foreign country. The man sent him into the filthy, muddy fields to feed his pigs. For a young Jewish man, raised to view pigs as ceremonially unclean, this was the absolute bottom of human existence. It was a complete loss of identity, a degradation so profound it was almost ant. Standing ankle-deep in the mud, his stomach cramped with a pain he had never known in his father's house. He was so incredibly hungry, so malnourished, that he looked at the rough carob pods, the pigs. The animals were treated better than he was. Yet, the scripture says, no one gave him anything. He was completely abandoned, starving, physically broken, and devoid of a single drop of hope. But right there, in the darkest, dirtiest chapter of his life, amidst the smell of the pig pen and the ruins of his arrogant rebellion, the Bible records a beautiful, life-changing turning point. The fog of his pride lifted. A vivid memory of grace pierced his despair. He realized, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, warm bread on their tables, and here I am, the son. In that moment of total brokenness, he made a courageous decision. I will set out, he whispered to himself, and go back to my father. I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and Aga. I am no longer worthy to carry your name or be called your son. Please, just make me like one of your hired servants. He wasn't hoping for restoration, he was just hoping for survival. He traded high. So he got up, leaving the pigs behind, and began the long, agonizingly shameful walk home. Every step was heavy with fear of rejection. But here is where the story shifts from human tragedy to divine. Just a silhouette on the dusty horizon. His father saw him. The father hadn't moved on. He had been looking down that road every single day, his heart aching with an enduring, relentless hope. The father didn't wait for the bow to reach the gate. He didn't cross his arms, demanding a perfect apology to satisfy his wounded pride. Instead, filled with a massive surge of compassion, he picked up his robes and he ran. He sprinted out to the dirt road, shielding his son from the village's judgment, threw his arms around the boy's filthy neck, and kissed him, the extravagant gra. The weeping son tried to recite his rehearsed speech of servitude, but the father wouldn't even let him finish. He interrupted, shouting to his servants, Quick, bring the best robe in the house and put a family signet ring on his finger, restoring his authority. Put sandals on his feet, for he is not a slave, he is my son. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let us feast and celebrate. The father didn't wait for the bow to reach the gate. He didn't cross his arms, demanding a perfect apology to satisfy his wounded pride. Instead, filled with a massive surge of compassion, he picked up his robes and he ran. He sprinted out to the dirt road, shielding his son from the village's judgment, threw his arms around the boy's filthy neck, and kissed him, the extravagant grace. Once again, the father humbles himself, leaving the joyful party to go out into the dark courtyard and plead with his eldest son. But the older brother lashed out, Look, all these years I've been slaughtered, yet you never gave me even a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who squandered your money with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. The older brother's words revealed a tragic truth. He saw his father as an employer, not a dad. He obeyed out of duty, not love. The father looked at his furious eldest son with that exact same uncouth. Everything I have is already yours. There is nothing left to earn. But we had to celebrate and be glad. Because this brother of yours was dead, and is alive again. He was completely lost, and now. Or are you the proud older sibling, standing outside in judgment and self-righteousness? Listen closely. The Father's arms are wide open for both of you. You are never, ever too far gone to come home. If this story touched your heart today, or if you know someone who is carrying the heavy burden of their past, please share this video with them. Sometimes, a simple reminder that they are loved and if you want to continue exploring the deepest mysteries, untold stories, and beautiful teachings of the Bible with us, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification